Yeah, hey, here we are
Hey.
recording. All right, let's stop talking about what we were talking about before.
This is 14. Yep.
Oh
Well,
man. Hey, dude. Yeah,
yeah,
good to be back. Here we are.
yeah, it's a pleasure. I'm
Yeah,
so psyched we keep doing this.
I know.
So
It's continued.
yeah, I can't tell who's putting up with who at this point.
Look, let's face it, it's mostly just me putting up with myself.
There we go. Yeah, if you can do that,
Uh,
so can I.
yeah. If I can endure me, then you can endure you too.
Yeah. So as people can already tell, I'm sure we're making a few little changes. I think this will be our first video episode.
There we go.
So we've been seeing each other through the webcam before, but and in person, I guess not so much anymore. But now you get to see our mugs and
Yeah.
see the faces behind the voices.
Yeah. I know.
So
We kept these beautiful faces secret for a long time, and now
yeah,
the you know, the
yeah,
imagery is being revealed. Here it is.
in glorious 720p.
Yeah.
So feast your eyes, people. Yeah, we're no Avatar 2, but we try.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a little CGI for
Yeah,
my appearance.
little
You know,
aquatic
maybe some,
fish swimming around your head.
yeah, I'll be an aquatic creature.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think, dude, when I watch that movie, I think it's just gonna make me want to scuba dive too bad. Like I'm almost
Yeah.
debating like not watching it just so I don't go move to Florida and
Yeah.
like get a crab boat or something. I don't.
Yeah. Pretty much, I'm sure that that movie is going to inspire a bunch of people to become marine biologists.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I feel like also kind of helps people like want to take care of the ocean and stuff. That's cool
Yeah.
too. So I heard that was kind of like a takeaway of the first one for a lot of people was taking care of the environment. So
Yeah.
hey, don't trash the ocean. Keep it nice.
Yeah.
Keep the coral around.
Yeah. The
But
coral.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
actually a lot of people doing stuff with coral right now.
Oh,
With
really?
like yeah, like breeding it and like
Oh.
trying to rehabilitate a lot of areas that are dying off and bleaching and stuff.
Oh.
So it's cool work. I like it.
Yeah. Coral's just the fungus of the sea.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I just made that up right now.
Everyone fact check them. uh,
If you can find out that you can smoke coral and that it gives you some hallucinogenic trip, then everyone will want to save the coral.
preserve it. Yeah. Yeah. If it's valuable in
What
some
you
way.
really want to do with this coral is eat it and snort it.
Crush it up. Yeah.
Uh,
Who knows, man? There's
I
so
don't
many
know.
weird things that like I don't know, have weird effects on the body that people just kind of lost to time or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like now everything's illegal to put in your body, so except McDonald's. I'm too spicy, man. Okay. Gotta
Uh,
cool off here before I start
yeah,
some
you
weird
gotta
rant.
gotta cool off. I don't even know where we're going with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you? Do you want to go first, or should I? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go first. Why not?
Okay. Cool, man.
Yeah, so this is more of like probably a discussion for me or like something that I want to get more thoughts on and less something I have worked out and is very inspiring. But the concept itself I like. So I'm trying to figure out AI right now. And
Mm,
like I've always been interested in it. It always comes back and is something that is on my mind to some degree or another. But I don't know. I feel like it's such a broad topic. There's so many little facets to it that it's like, where do you even start? Like it's a general term. People throw it around. People use it as an analogy a lot of times. People doom and gloom the implications of it and whatnot. But for me, as with any technology, there's always super big positives that come from it, and then also a lot of negatives. So I think since it's an inspiration episode, I'm kind of like I would like to look at maybe some of the ways that it'll like positively impact people going forward and like overcome some of the negative aspects of it. And because there's enough people, saying how it'll take all the jobs or it'll, take over humanity's brains or, whatever the thing is. There's a lot of that. But then I feel like the good parts of it don't get touched on as much. And so I'm kind of curious, maybe we can pick a direction and kind of find some positives in each of those directions.
I
And
have
so,
something right off the bat that
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of a positive idea, like if there are no weird side effects, there aren't robots taking over the world, the Matrix doesn't happen, all that kind of stuff. I feel like self-driving cars would be awesome. I'm going to just throw it out
Yeah.
there. Like I know that that's going to ruin the whole industry for truckers and things like I mean, I don't know. I've heard it's a lucrative job, but it's also crazy stressful, so pros and cons. But,
Mhm.
you
Yeah, my
know,
uncle did it actually for a while.
I just feel like for me personally, Brandon's own selfish little dream of driving for the rest of my life, I would love to not drive. Like
Really?
I would love it if I could just be like, I'm gonna drive here for 30 minutes. There's a
Hmm.
little bit of traffic on the way. That's okay. I don't have to watch the traffic. I don't care that that person just cut me off right now.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to my audiobook. I'm watching a movie. I'm reading a book in the back. I'm having
Yeah.
an interesting conversation with somebody else. Like I would love to just live the rest of my life with a taxi service that is my car
Mm.
and I don't have to deal with anything. Like that would be
Yeah.
so stress free and I feel like I'd be more productive because I'd be able to
Yeah.
multitask a lot better in the car, you know?
Yeah. It's not all this wasted time where you're like white knuckling it.
Yeah.
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 Huh. Well, and then, yeah, think about it. You have to pay for a chauffeur or somebody to do that for you, so it's not accessible to anybody if they even if they want the option to not drive
Yeah.
or to still get somewhere with the car but not drive.
Mm-hmm.
And think about cars. There's so much room in a car that you
Yeah.
only like are buckled down into this one spot in the car.
Yeah.
If it's all self-driving and safe, like you had a minivan, dude, you can just like,
You just lay down. Just put a
yeah,
bed in that car.
yeah, you could have like a little like mini mobile home going on, you know,
Yeah. I could be
and
sleeping and the car's
yeah,
driving.
you wouldn't need a driver's seat, which takes up a bunch of room. You wouldn't need a steering wheel in there, so you got even more room.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little hot plate and some Cheetos and
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
TV, whatever you want to do.
Cooking
Beanbag
stuff
chair.
on in the microwave. I don't even know.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, because there's so much wasted space for just like driver and driver safety accessory.
Yeah.
And the other thing with traffic, now you really got my gears turning, is like if it's all self-driving cars, you don't really have traffic because they all just like work in synchronization. So
Right.
you don't have like that stop and go like traffic.
Right.
And
I
so,
mean, which is a crazy thing to think about. It's like if you had automated cars where they all knew where they all were and were coordinating through a network and whatnot,
mm-hmm.
and you had cars that were driving like 90 miles an hour on the freeway because they knew where all the other cars were. And I mean, what if you were like within 10 feet of the car in front of you and
Oh my
behind
gosh.
you, but they're all synced, so they all know that they all need to
Yeah.
slow down at the same time and speed up at the same time, and it's this whole hive mind thing. I mean, that would be really freaky. Like I'm going
Yeah.
really fast and there's like a lot of cars really close to me. Like this could be dangerous, except they all know what they're doing. Nobody's
Every
surprised.
instinct in you is like wanting to stop it.
Yeah. In that
Yeah.
case, you would not want to look out your windows probably. That might cause you anxiety, but yeah.
Yeah. Here's a question. Do you think somebody who was born into that type of like automated driving system would be as worried? Or do you think it's just because like like, do you think it would mostly be people who have a lot of experience driving and know kind of some of the dangers and like the unpredictable or have grown up with an unpredictableness surrounding cars that would be more worried?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that there's something to it that's more the mindset of the culture having the experience. Because you
Mm-hmm.
think about how many people die from car accidents every year,
Mm-hmm.
and even just considering people dying from car accidents while sober, not even considering how many people die because they're driving under the influence. And if you could have people, in an automated car under the influence, like, oh, we went out and got drinks. No worries. We don't have to order a cab. My car will drive us home.
Yeah.
It's like just the rate of car accidents from that alone would go down. And I think that you'd probably have a lot of other car accident stuff going down too. So I feel like the net gain would actually be a decrease in people
Yeah.
passing away in serious car accidents than the
Yeah.
reverse. And so I think that if you were born in a culture where you were used to a self-driving car and you knew that like, oh, well, statistically it's better and I've never driven a car before, like it's always driven itself. I
Yeah.
think that that would be normal. You'd be scared. Like, I don't want to drive this car. Like I could crash and kill us all. Like, I don't know how to do this. I
Yeah.
think
I'm
that would
not as
freak you
good as
out.
a robot.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, it's one of those things where Do you feel like a lot of people would be resistant to that idea, or like of kind of handing over some of their autonomy or perceived autonomy, I guess, to like a self-driving car? I know like a lot of people would be. I mostly think of maybe my dad or something wouldn't be as on board with something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's because you're playing with a few different things. It's freedom versus safety.
But like,
But
what's the freedom? You still get to go where you want. You
yeah,
still
like
get to.
if you're still going where you want,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe, if you wanted to go down a road that wasn't on Google Maps, or you wanted to drive away from the cops, or you wanted to,
So we know all these people with
um,
criminal intentions now.
yeah, right.
You don't
Yeah.
like
And
self-driving cars? What are you, anarchist? No, I don't.
yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. It's like, I could see how there's certain aspects of the freedom that would maybe be a bad thing. What if you want to go off-roading? Like, how does that work? I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I think that the safety could potentially be significant enough to be worth that. If you're a law-abiding citizen and you're not going to get pulled over for things, then like, yeah, it's probably a good deal for you to be extra safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the other thing to consider, there's the safety versus the freedom quandary that you can think about. Um, but the other thing to consider with that is like, what do you really want at the end of the day? Because if you're still having the freedom to go where you want, it's not really like inhibiting a major part of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a more efficient way of doing something. And I suppose you could say there's like a joy in driving. Like sometimes driving can be fun and enjoyable. And I think some
Yeah.
people definitely get a thrill out of that. So maybe it's not just purely like efficiency. Like you could be driving automated cars. It might be like a killjoy for certain people. Like I love driving my convertible. So
Yeah.
I could see that there's like that component too.
Well, I
But
think like a lot of things that'll be. I think a lot of things that used to be chores, once they're automated, then you can do them just for fun. So, like for instance, when if driving's automated, like the people that really like driving, like maybe like you just go to like, you know, I could just imagine a place where they had like a track, like a really nice track with like good scenery, and you get to just drive around it as fast as you want. I mean, they already kind of have that, like a racetrack or something, but like even just like a driving track. It's like a lot of the stuff that like we don't do anymore, we still do recreationally. So it's like firearms, for instance. Like, yeah, in the Wild West, you could just go off the porch of your saloon and shoot a gun. Probably, not actually. This is an exaggeration, but you can just go out in your backyard and shoot a gun wherever. But now with like you live in a city and you can't just do that. But people who live in cities can still go shoot guns. So it's like,
right.
yeah, your freedom got inhibited, but it just turned into more of a recreation and something you just do when you want to do it, rather than like you know something that's like an obligation or something, I guess, or you know just part of the daily life. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a difference between taking away a person's freedom versus almost like organizing the chaos of certain freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could, like, if anybody could just like walk around shooting guns whenever they want at whatever they want, you have
They
chaos,
can, and it's annoying. I
it's
know, because
like,
my neighbors all shoot, and it's like 6:30 in the morning. You don't need to practice for shooting a deer right now. Like,
well, I mean, that's in like, because you live in a more rural area, but like I live in a more downtown area. It's like, and
mm-hmm.
people just wanted to go, like, it's 2 a.m. and I just want to shoot stuff in my backyard. It's like, hello, there's like 1,000 people sleeping around you and nobody wants to hear you shooting at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
So I could see how, hey, we're not trying to like make people lose their freedoms. We're just trying to respect other people
yeah,
and be a little more organized with our freedoms, for civilized society. And I
yeah,
don't think that that's a bad thing to like bring some order to stuff.
yeah, yeah. True. Huh.
I'm just going to light fires whenever I want. Let me light fire to your house. I think it would look good. Like, excuse me, no.
Yeah, no, I mean, like all the freedom's kind of an illusion anyway. It's like you don't really realize like how many ways you're like subtly contained, even if it's like socially or whatever. You're not going to go make a fool of yourself, and it's like that's a type of social pressure that's conforming you or whatnot. Even just trying to fit in is a type of like control, that you don't always necessarily recognize. But yeah, because like I guess what prompted this whole AI thought and line is that like I think I would like to kind of write some papers or something or some essays on like responsible AI usage, I guess, or what that kind of looks like, because like again we know a lot of the examples of things that don't work. So like for instance with social media, it's like stealing people's data and for advertisers like that kind of sucks, like algorithms that push negative narratives and outrage for attention. It's like that we see the result of that and it's not great, but then by the same time it's like you see all these people, and it's not as widely advertised, but you see people using social media to like band together for really good causes or for shared interests and hobbies that like really like connect people that wouldn't otherwise be connected, and like make connections and come up with like brand new ideas because they had these new connections. So it's like if you can hone in on those things, then I'm like super like, because I think there's kind of stages of technology, and so the internet is obviously a big one, but now I think like even AI is a bigger one than people, even bigger than the internet and bigger than people realize. And so like now that we're kind of at the forefront, it's like it took people how long to figure out all the ways to use like social media well, like it didn't, I mean, were you around for like the early days of Facebook and stuff?
I don't think I got on Facebook until 2015. So
Okay.
yeah, I wasn't there till later.
What was like this first social media thing you remember using?
Um,
I would count
I
like a
think
chat thing service maybe as something like that too.
I think like I remember getting on Gmail and using like the Gmail chat because they had
Mm.
like a little chat messenger,
Mm-hmm.
and I would do that with people a lot. And that was like my
Yeah.
first probably online messaging, like, hey, I don't have to call you on the hard landline. I can just like message you on Google. Ooh, that's so cool. And
Yeah.
sending emails to friends and stuff like that, just because, just like, I sent you an email for fun. Huh?
Some
Um,
little random line of text in there.
yeah, it's like you're not even like saying anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those were some of my first things. I
Did
don't
that
know.
did that change your life at any way, or like enhance your life in any way at that point in
No,
time, or
just
no?
just being
It's just like,
fun with
yeah,
friends. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Here's a
go
I
ahead.
have a question for you about AI.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how free should AI be? How much freedom? It's like when something's AI, that means that it can basically like make its own decisions in a certain sense. It's like how much freedom does AI have before it becomes like its own consciousness, you know?
Yeah, I mean, then you have to like define consciousness and all that stuff too. But um, like, how many restraints should people put on their code?
Like if you can create a self-driving car that could also make decisions, like what if you went to your self-driving car and you were like, take me to an ice cream shop, and it's like, which one? And it's like, whichever one you want, and it just took you somewhere. Then it's like, oh, did it like make a decision about something? Or what if
Mm-hmm.
you were like, take me to ice cream shop, and it's like, no, I'm taking you to a salad place. It's like, oh, what the heck? Like, is it
Yeah,
did my car have freedom?
yeah.
Does it deserve freedom?
Or whoever programmed it. Yeah,
Whoever programmed it?
what weight did they put on each decision?
Yeah.
And so, but that's kind of one of the things I'm getting at is like the people that make these programs are going to have a lot of influence over people.
Hmm.
Because even right now, something my mom and I were actually talking about the other day is, um, both YouTube, I mean, any social media thing, like there's an infinite number of posts and videos a day, but you're only seeing a select few. And so, like, what you're seeing is actually being shaped by these companies, whether it's nefarious or not, whatever. Like, as some of the leaks have proved, it's kind of a bit more nefarious, it seems like. But, so your view and what's going into your subconscious is being shaped by these companies, whether you acknowledge it or not, because they're controlling what you see. Even if you type in, have you like used Google recently to search anything?
Yeah.
Like, do you notice how it's kind of getting like more sterile and more, it's like you're never going to find like a weird website anymore, like some kind of like offbeat thing. It's always
Yeah.
like, it's a pretty generic set of, things. It'll be like, if you're looking up news, it'll be a few news sites and that's it, and then it just starts like a repeat and there's nothing like really anything else added to it. You can go to like the second and third page and it'll be like highlights from the article from the first page, like the link on the first page or whatever.
Yeah.
They put the little number up there like, oh, we searched 455 billion web pages and this is what we came back with. And it's like, these all look the same. I don't know, like maybe everyone's just making the same web. There's more than like these 5 web pages out there.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think what you're seeing is being heavily curated already. And so I think with AI, like those same like curations and biases will also go into that, but be magnified. So,
Hmm.
I think if people do want you to go eat the salad, or that's their what they think is best or agenda, like that'll be very easy to, I think, um, like a programming software that'll, you know, influence, because I think people will let AI systems have a lot of influence in their life, like driving them places or making suggestions or um, maybe even like connecting with socially on some weird level. And so I think there will be, like, when those biases are put in there, they will very subtly get into your life very quickly and shape a lot of your opinions, your just subconscious ways of thinking about the world and interacting with it. And so, like, that's super sketchy, but I think there is actually ways to uh, use those systems to enhance people and like maybe make them think about life more, and not just live a passive lifestyle of letting, these systems do everything for them, or, kind of like if you had an AI that like, you know, if it was like I don't know, something with like a personal trainer, for instance, like an app type thing, and it really did have, like, people programmed it really did have health in mind as their ultimate pinnacle and like helping people, like, then it would tell you the hard things that you need to hear sometimes potentially, or it would use all the available data to like actually monitor you without taking all your personal data and selling it, and also give you the best possible like advice and outcome, for very little investment, like money wise, or like having to hire a personal trainer would be expensive, but having this app that could do it would be very cheap and affordable and accessible to a lot of people. So um yeah, like I think there is a way to do it. Like there's just so much power there over people's how they think and how they will live their life. So it's trying to find like the way to do it responsibly is like very important, I think. And so going to kind of like the who controls it type thing, I do think that there will always be like an element of like condensing power and control, but then I think just as much as that builds up, there's a counter element of like spreading things out and people like autonomizing and building their own like little systems outside of like the bigger system. And so I think there will be like huge systems of condensed power, like around artificial intelligence and like these, obviously like these Facebook type companies that own like all the social media. There's like, 6 companies, or like automotive industry. There's like 10 companies or whatever. There's more than that, but so there is like this huge condensing of power. But then with that amount of power, it also allows like the individual people now to like build these smaller networks even easier than ever. So like I think more of those will pop up. People doing a lot of like sustainable power grids for themselves. With like just wind and solar and stuff. It's like now with some of these like softwares and stuff, you can set up like a little home grid super easy. I mean, way more easily than you could have 10 years ago. And I could see little small communities forming around their own kind of off grid or off, away from these bigger entities, and set up their own little like zones, or like areas of their own like little cultures or autonomous zones, essentially. And so yeah, that's my big rant there. But yeah, I don't know, like, do you fall, I guess, what would you hope to get out of a life that was more integrated with, because I think there'll be a lot of more like, I don't think it'll just be like one AI in the sky like telling everyone what to do. I think it'll be like kind of almost like a version of like all the data might come from a few big training models, but I think there'll be like little portals where you interact with this bigger model that has all the data. And so you'll be interacting with these like smaller portions that are specialized in different areas, like, whatever health, or, there's a subsection that's focused on driving and doing that, and it's trained specifically from that. So is there a way that you see yourself interacting with all these like little areas that are being contributed to by AIs that like would feel fulfilling to you, or like make you enhance your life or something?
I mean, I think it would fall under the same lines as most technology. It would just make my life more efficient,
Mm-hmm.
and so I could do more with less time.
Mm.
Um, and I think I don't know if there would really be like a huge other benefit that I can think of per se.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, if things are helping me make decisions, doing certain tasks for me, um, it
You
just
probably have
allows
access
me
to more information, I guess, technically.
access to more information, probably. Yeah, I think it'd just be living a life where I can either have more free time,
Mm-hmm.
or, I can do my job or whatever my tasks are just in life more efficiently.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too because, just like we've had with um, a lot of different industries, as soon as you make something more efficient, you make it so you probably don't need as many people having those jobs anymore. And so then it
Mm-hmm.
makes jobs that can't be automated, higher value. And it makes a lot of people have to learn new skills. Oh, maybe I have to be the AI repair person or the software person who writes AI or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about that. Yeah.
Would you want, like, so I guess it seems like usually there's people that kind of fall into 2 categories, like people that, want to push the progress, and people are like, oh no, we need to pump the brakes or whatever. Do you feel like that would make your life better? Like, is just having more time better, or like more efficiency better? Or are you like pretty happy with how your life is right now? And like, would it be like, well, I could just live without it, like it's not a big deal if it happens or not?
Well, see, okay, yeah, see, that's an interesting question because it comes down to the idea of just because something is more efficient doesn't always mean that it gives you a higher quality of life. Like if you think of um, how we have so many things that are automated for us,
Mm-hmm.
people used to think that, oh man, once we have advanced technology, everything will be so efficient we won't even have to like work anymore. It'll be great.
Now
But
we have
it's like,
depression because we don't have
yeah,
anything to do.
it's like, well, now people just isolate more than they did before. People are more depressed than they were before. people have more like meaningless, like, oh, what do I do with my job? It's like, and people are crazy busy. It's like you can't just be the factory worker pulling the lever, doing a simple job and getting security for that. You have to like
Mm-hmm.
hustle and do a lot more. It's harder to like live that simple life. There you have to like, your life almost has to move up with the complexity of technology. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I almost wonder if there was
Like people are
more.
getting left behind.
Yeah, it's like some people would get left behind, and then in order to move forward, you would have to become a more complex human being to follow along with the complexity of technology. I
Yeah.
just I just wonder if it would almost like decrease your quality of life, make people more stressed, make people more um I don't know, like possibly make people have other issues, social issues, psychological issues. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe health issues. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought like, so when we built the yurt out here, it was, you know, you watch all these videos on YouTube of people who are like, oh, I spent a year like building my house and living off the land, and now I'm like a changed person, and I'm, this is how man was meant to live, and all this kind of stuff, And I'm like, okay, like maybe there's something to that, but like after building all this and like having to chop my own firewood for a winter and stuff, I'm like, like nothing's changed. I'm just doing stuff I don't want to do more often. Like I do want to live in that heated or whatever, apartment and have nice countertops or whatever. Who knows, whatever it is. But I'm like, because for me, my fulfillment, and like that might work perfectly for someone, and I'm not saying they're lying, but like for me, my fulfillment doesn't come from like chopping wood or doing the random chores that I have to do in the day. And so like maybe I don't know, maybe there's a type of person where like they don't have a bigger goal in life or like a bigger, something that gets them out of the bed in the morning or something. And so like if you're going to freeze to death and filling up your fire is like the way you're like forced to get some fulfillment or like take care of yourself, then cool. But um I don't know, for me, like I've just always had bigger things in mind of like stuff like I always have like 10 things I want to do. And so for me, like, getting up in the middle of the night to put or get the wood from outside or whatever, or do whatever I got to do or shovel something, it's like that's getting in the way of the things I actually want to be doing. And so, like, I mean, there's an argument that it's somehow good for me, subconsciously, or that it, is teaching you grit or something. But I feel like you can kind of learn those things while doing stuff you want to do as well. But um, yeah, so I don't know, like if there's like I think it's more of like learning those soft skills that would come with taking care of your daily basic needs can be learned in like in almost any context, I guess. It doesn't have to just be like the living a basic rugged life, I guess, if that makes sense. So
Basic rugged life
name of my new apparel shop.
versus the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and I mean, again, with everything, I think people are starting to learn, even with social media and stuff, that balance is key. And so, I think the people like it'll make people that already are prone to like those mental health issues and like the social media addiction and stuff, like that stuff will just become worse for people that are in that, unfortunately. And like the people that are affected but negatively by technology will probably be even more negatively affected because it's like an increase in that. But I think the people that are like, I mean, you see people now that are like actively trying to unplug from social media or limit their use, or maybe go in new directions and find platforms that aren't driven by negativity and outrage and stuff. So I think those people, there will be people that do that with artificial intelligence as well, and try to look for ways to like integrate that into their life responsibly rather than just like having it be the end all be all for their life, because I don't think there will be much fulfillment in that. If if you're not just using it as a tool and instead like somehow tying it to your or like tying it into your identity or something, I guess. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on AI for now.
Yeah, dude. Okay. You know, maybe
Yeah,
automate some stuff in your life, and maybe that'll be inspiring.
yeah, maybe the thesis I write or the whatever the essay I write will just be a chat generated AI one.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
wrote my thesis on AI morality with an AI
I
chat.
mean, I was talking to a guy I know just the other day over the weekend, and he said that he found some AI program online or something that like is supposed to be able to be in, talk back to you and do different things, tasks that
GPT
you ask
three.
it to do. I think that that's what it was. Yeah. And he
Mm-hmm.
said that he like typed in like write a poem for my wife, here's her
Mm-hmm.
name, write a couple little themes like this, and it wrote
Yeah.
back a poem, and he really liked it, thought it was great, so he like sent it to his wife and was like, here's a poem for you. And she was like, wow, I like really like this, thank you. And he was like, thanks, I didn't write it, it was the AI thing that wrote it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's
AI
the
can help
thing.
your love life.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's not bad stuff. Like it like everything that's being pulled is like, and again, like these systems can't come up with anything on their own. They're pulling from, the internet and from, these training models of, images and video and stuff from people interacting. So it's like it's a human based all this stuff just remashed together and like configured. But yeah, that is funny. Huh. Yeah, I know people were using it for like college papers and stuff and getting like A's and whatnot and like, with some minor editing. It's like, all right, there's a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the AI and be like, "What's your marital advice for my marriage?" It'll be like, your wife wants a hug right now."
A spousal translator.
Yeah,
There
you're
you
just
go.
hungry. Go eat some more food.
It knows what you want before you do.
Yeah,
That I mean, that's the scary thing is that probably could be the case. If it's using you as its training model.
mhm.
Anyways,
That would be an interesting. Okay, just on a side note, that would be an
yeah,
interesting fantasy novel if all professions were basically just traded for AI and nobody like really worked anymore. It was just like pure AI. So it's like you go to see your psychologist and it's like a robot. You go
yeah.
see your, go to the restaurant. It's like a robot making your food, all that stuff.
That's actually the story I'm writing. It's that's kind of the case. Like, there's basically the AIs are better than people at everything, and so they do everything, but people still work just to have something to do because like basically everyone gets like a universal basic income, and then like they choose to work if they want to like have some extra money. Um, but it's like charity kind of, and then the only jobs that are like even technically available for people are just these like super menial jobs. It's like as pity kind of because like everything is so advanced and technical that like people literally just physically and mentally can't do these jobs. And so they're like, okay, you can like we'll make up a job for you basically. Like they as make up jobs for people to do just to like make
That's
them feel
interesting.
good and like make a little extra money if they want. And so they're like running the ships, calculating light speed and all this stuff. And then people are like over there mopping the floors and stuff, like just for the other people. It's like, so yeah.
Oh man, that's interesting. That's
Mm-hmm.
like a commentary on humans. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then the other scary part of it is, or that's, I don't know, it's not scary, but basically, so then there's like other jobs or whatever that people, um, because like for artificial intelligence, right, you need like an input. And so, um, we use a lot of like, the web and stuff as input for these training models. Uh, so it's like, but yeah, so these jobs are basically there's like a whole section of people that just go in and they just feed ideas into a database, and so they just like come up with an idea, just plug it in the database, come up with an idea, plug it into the database, and so that's all they just do for like 8 hours a day or whatever, and so they're basically just being farmed for their creativity and their inspiration. So
That's interesting.
just
Oh,
so the AI has like new things to pull from and like new ideas to combine and like do all this stuff. And so
yeah,
because it's
that's
like it
interesting
can't come up with
because
anything new on its own, so it has to like use
exactly.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the one thing that humans have is like the original thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so whether that speaks to people being able to like pull from stuff outside this reality or something, but it's like they're being farmed for that essentially, so that
Hmm,
the AI can expand its scope.
that's interesting.
Uh,
Yeah, dude, cool. I'll read it.
cool. Now they're all depressed. What's what's your inspiring
Or
thing?
inspired. I mean, I don't know. Somebody listening to this is depressed, like, the robots will control us all. And some
Someone
people
else
are
is
like,
inspired. Like I'm gonna go build that AI that farms people.
yeah, somebody's like, I'll never have to work again.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I think it's happening. It's gonna happen. Like I'm able to work part time and be fine. I don't know.
Yeah. One day I'll have
Anyway,
robots that work for me. I mean, children.
children robots.
uh, uh.
So, what inspires Mr. Cope today?
Okay,
Or
yeah, let's see. My inspiration. Well, not yeah, it wasn't AI or robots or anything like that. I'm actually going for an individual person.
hmm,
And I was reading this person's biography a while ago, which I thought was really
David
interesting.
Goggins.
No, no, but I know he's trendy right now, but I
Yeah,
I haven't actually really listened to anything that
it's
he
my shot
does,
in the
but
dark. He's kind of a
yeah.
psycho.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about him, honestly. But no, it's somebody who is back from like the early 1900s, Sir Ernst Shackleton. So
Hmm.
Shackleton was a really interesting explorer of Antarctica. And the famous book about him, his biography, is called Endurance by a guy, Alfred, I think Lansing, I want to say his name is. That was the guy who wrote the biography. And I've read a second biography about him that's called The Way of Shackleton. That's a little bit more about like him as a leader in particular. But he was just a really inspiring, interesting individual. You know, not perfect. He had his flaws, but he was just a guy who absolutely loved exploring. Just felt like he knew how to like be a leader of men, and he took went on several different expeditions, but the one he's the most famous for, it was called the Endurance because that was the name of the ship that they took down to Antarctica, and this was
Hmm.
back in 1914, right
Well,
as World War One breaks out. He's getting on a ship with a bunch of people going down to Antarctica to try to reach the South Pole.
yeah.
And it's interesting because his family's motto was, I think it was like, with endurance, we will have victory or something like that. And so endurance was like their family motto. And so they named the ship Endurance and the book is Endurance. So he was always kind of known for this man who like could endure anything, you know? And they go down to Antarctica and they're like, I don't know, several months into their trip, you know, from England down to like South America and then down over to Antarctica, and they're just about to get to the land. They're pretty close to land, and then all of a sudden it's winter and it freezes, and
Yeah.
their ship is like stuck in the ice, you know. And it's about how they survive for like a couple of years on Antarctica, basically. um, just them. Like they didn't have any outside help or supplies. They just had a really well supplied ship. They had really good morale. This guy Shackleton like inspired his men really well and
Hmm.
helped them to endure like a crazy thing like living in Antarctica. You know, I mean, they had days of like complete darkness where there was
Hmm.
just, you know, months of dark winter, no sunlight at all, and just trying to like entertain yourself. What do? You're just like waiting for your ship to thaw, and then finally the ship like breaks under the ice, and they just try to pull everything out as fast as they can, and then it sinks down, and they just have a couple little lifeboats that they're basically dragging across the ice until they can reach like the water, and then they like get into the ocean and they jump in their boats and they sail over to like this little island, but it's really harsh environments. And then finally they like take one boat and they sail over to where they think a whaling island will be. They make it to the island. They have to walk like a couple days across the entire island, get to the other side, and then they find the whaling harbor, and they're like, "Hey, we've been here for like a year and a half to 2 years. We need you guys to come rescue us." And nobody died. Not a single person on the crew ever passed away.
Well,
And a lot of the guys, like later in life and in their journals and in other biographies and stuff, wrote back that like that was one of the best times of my life, and that was like I really learned like how to be a man on that trip. And there was all the stuff that guy Shackleton was like the most inspiring person I've ever known, and you know. So I think that that's what inspires me is that person, individual, or in particular, and the ability he had to like endure really harsh things in life, and the way that he inspired other people, that like he lived a life and the way that he influenced people was so powerful. It made other people overcome the hardship in their life, you know?
instead of just giving up or
Instead
whatever.
of just giving up. It's like so many people could have been like, well, we're trapped on Antarctica and our boat just collapsed in the water. So I guess we'll all just die. Like, I mean, what is there to do? Like, nobody's coming for us, and you're on
Yeah.
Antarctica in 1914, like, and you don't have a boat. Like, how on earth are you getting back to England?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like you could
Yeah.
just pull up Google Maps or whatever.
Yeah. What's it like sitting around the campfire that night when your ship is just sunk?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what campfire? Like,
Uh,
you don't have any wood. Like, there's no wood to burn. Like, what do? You just like pitch your tent in the cold and stick your hands in your armpits and go in your sleeping bag and try to fall asleep. Like, what do you,
yeah.
And it's like complete darkness in winter. Like, oh, is it daytime or not? I don't even know. Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like
Weird.
they just endured that kind of stuff for a long
So
time.
what do you think that was the quality that was so inspiring? Do you think he was a good speaker or like a good communicator, or
I think
was
I
he
think a few
tall?
different things. Yeah, yeah. He just had a really good way with words. I mean, I think that one, he was really smart about um, creating like an environment where everybody on the crew felt very safe to like voice their opinions. So anytime people were like, "Well, I don't think we should go this direction," or "I don't think," like he was always open for debate. Like he was always willing to like listen to every individual person in his crew, and thought that each one of them was super important and respected each of them. And if anybody was like having a hard time or kind of dissenting or whatever, he would like keep those people close to him to try to like encourage them and influence them in positive ways. So he was super good at like, we're all gonna try to find a solution together. We're going to try to figure this out. And okay, let's brainstorm. He wasn't just like, I'm the captain and I say we're going north because I said so. Okay,
Hmm.
you'll have to listen to me or else I'll shoot you. It wasn't like that. It was like, oh guys, hey, our boat's sinking. Any ideas? What should we do? So I think people felt respected and they felt valid. And I think that they also got the best ideas because of that. And I
Hmm.
think that people felt like they could trust him because he was willing to trust them, and so there was that really strong mutual bond of trust, and respect. And I
Yeah.
think also he was good about keeping them from getting depressed by always encouraging them to like be playful and sing songs and tell stories, and he was really encouraging them to like do things that were very uplifting and very positive. And so I think he
Hmm.
like prevented them from getting into fights and mutinies and different
Yeah.
things like
Idle
that.
hands.
Yeah. Yeah, he always kept them busy no matter what. Everybody had like jobs from when they woke up to when they went to bed. He never let anybody be bored.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like he had
Yeah.
a very strong understanding of like the human spirit and the human whatnot. Just yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because that's. I wonder if it was like a very conscious thing for him to like be in tune with all that, or if it was like a trained skill or something that like he was more conscious of to
I
like
think
foster.
I think that he was more conscious because he had done many exploratory trips. So I think he
Hmm.
had seen like good leadership and bad leadership and been a leader himself on a bunch of explorations. And
Like what happens to people under stress and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So I think he knew like this is how I need to lead these people, and this is how I want I want the culture of this group of people to be. And I
Hmm.
think that was. that was kind of like his
Was he
experience that
older at
really
the
brought
time?
those skills. I want to say he was like in his early 40s, I think, when he did this expedition. I can't totally remember. I want to say early 40s, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, my dad bought me the book for Christmas,
Oh
and
yeah.
I read the first like 3 chapters. I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
an
think
interest. Yeah.
I mean, I would say that the beginning of it is pretty boring because they
Mm,
talk about just how he was getting funding for his expedition and how he different stuff like that. But as soon as he's down in Antarctica and it's like, and the ship is stuck, then it's like, oh, that's interesting. And it's like, and
yeah.
then the ship just sunk. It's like, oh, uh-oh, wow. Now what are they gonna do? Then I think the story gets like really interesting after that.
Yeah. I think I was like 11 at the time and probably didn't
Oh,
have the life context to like to put that into, It's like I've never been like I couldn't really put myself in their shoes of being like
mm,
stuck in Antarctica.
yeah.
Like, oh, you just leave if you want, I guess. I don't know.
It'd be better if there were wizards.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Antarctica wizards.
I'm like, I could be reading this for Lord of the Rings for the fifth time. I don't know. But yeah, yeah. But no, like
uh,
as I'm older now, just the story, I know of the story and stuff, and it's to like try to imagine yourself in that situation. You're like, yeah, I'd probably be one of the people that just got like bored and want to die. Like
hmm,
that's a pretty those are tough odds to like not be depressed by and to stick it out day after day when I'm sure you're freezing cold and miserable and
yeah,
like you got to have a pretty strong will to get through that. So
yeah. Well, so here's
yeah.
a question that I have. Just thinking about like when this expedition began, like if somebody said, "Hey, would you like to come sail on a boat with me down to Antarctica? We're going to try to find the South Pole. It's very, very dangerous. It's probably going to take like a year plus of your life to go do that. And really high chance that it's going to be, you could get frostbite or you could probably die. And, who knows if we'll get stuck or not, just this is probably what's going to happen. You think about the guys who signed up for that.
You're gonna get
Um,
paid $1,000.
yeah, you're going to get paid, 30 silver pieces. No, that's how much Judas Iscariot got paid. Um, but I'm just thinking like for you, do you feel like anybody where just based on the merits of that person alone, they're enough of an inspiring leader to you, even if it's like somebody you haven't met, like if it was this
Elon
cool
Musk wants me to go to
person, if
Mars.
if Elon Musk said, dude, I will fly you to Mars on a 1 year mission, it's like, wow, just the opportunity to work with Elon Musk would be inspiring, even though it's a scary, dangerous mission. I mean, do you feel like there's anybody who like really inspires you that like, wow, I would follow that leader because, if I knew that they were taking me to the depths of Antarctica, like it would be worth it.
You'd like trust them or want to be like involved with them.
Yeah. Maybe it's like somebody maybe it's somebody you've never met,
Um,
you know.
yeah, yeah. There's been people I've wanted to be like involved with for like. I think it would be more like in the times I've wanted to be involved with people is like when they're doing cool things with like an organization or something, or like you know, um, less so on the adventurous side of things. Um, but like like maybe like a risky startup venture, like thing like that, where it's like this might not be viable, but like for me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm all in. Like, let's do it. Like,
Mm.
if I had to put my life savings up for or something, like I would, and it was the right person. Like, there's some people I'd trust like that. I think if I was doing something like physically dangerous or like exploratory, I would either want to lead it or or uh, uh, just see the qualifications of the person more than anything. I think those would be my biggest. Like, you could have a great personality, but if you haven't won a season of Alone, then I don't want to go with you to the Canadian wilderness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that answers it. But yeah, like if there was just the opportunity to even go to Mars for a year, I probably would.
Mm.
Like even if it was dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If if you were gonna go into outer space and you had like, what was it, Matt Damon, who was in The Martian, maybe
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey,
Yeah.
from Interstellar.
Yeah, and
Maybe that'd
I
make it
think at
better.
that point, like it wouldn't be like Elon. I would want to probably use Elon Musk's like space company to like go there, like have it funded. But I don't think I would go because of that person. Like I would go out of my own volition over just somebody else in that at that point. So like I don't know. I think, but I get the heart of the question you're asking. Like, is there a person that can like maybe change your like maybe the trajectory of your life in some way to get and like pull you into their orbit? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, like somebody, I mean, the root of the question is to think about, who are people that are so inspiring or just powerful as people that they pull other people into something really scary that they would never normally do on their own.
Mm,
It's like
yeah.
those guys with Shackleton probably would have never gone down to Antarctica if Shackleton didn't like go down and invite them. Like maybe they would have gone with a different explorer, or maybe they would have done something different. But it's just like, who's who's somebody that inspires you that it's like, whoa, I would have never swam with sharks, except this person was going to swim with sharks. And they were like, you should come swim with sharks with me. And I was like, okay. And you went and
Mm-hmm.
did it together. I think, remember when you and I and Rich and Josh drove up to see the eclipse?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. Was that you, or maybe it was Josh? I can't remember who was the initiator of that whole thing,
I
but
think it was
like that's,
Josh. Yeah.
you think it was Josh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would have never done that if Josh hadn't have been like, I am renting a van and we're gonna just drive 16 hours and go see this eclipse. It's like
Yeah.
I would have read about it on the news and been like, man, that's so cool. I wish I could have gone and done something like that. That's great. But if I didn't have that initiating leader person to be like, I'm doing this, are you in? Then it's like
Mm-hmm.
that would have been too far outside of my comfort zone to just drop stuff and like go do that for 2 days. But now that I did it, it's like,
Interesting.
oh, it was totally worth it. Like I loved it.
Yeah. Huh.
I
Yeah.
think about, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Go for it.
I was going to say, I think about back in Santa Barbara. When I opened my first small business, my private practice there back in 2017, I
Mm-hmm.
remember uh, I really wanted to do it. It was something that had been like on like a dream in my life for like several years,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't until I sat down and had lunch with my dad, and he was like, "Dude, you have all the skills. You're totally capable. You will have to work hard, but like you can totally just go open your own private practice and do a little small business. Like you know how to do that. Like you'll be fine. I think you're ready." And
Mm-hmm.
it was him believing in me and backing me up on that that made me take that step and when did that.
Hmm.
And it's like, if I didn't have him basically telling me, you're capable of doing this, you can go to this next level, I would have never tried to attempt that on my own. I needed somebody to push me and like make me get to that place.
Yeah. Huh.
So, do you
Yeah.
feel
Okay.
like you've had those kinds of circumstances in your life where it was like, gosh, this person, I mean, we had that with the eclipse together because we obviously both did that, but,
Mm-hmm.
any other things you can think of that like, oh, this person like really drove me to do something I would have never done. But now that I did that, like, I'm thankful I did that scary, uncomfortable experience.
Yeah. That's actually interesting. I was just thinking about that. I think either today or yesterday. Because like when you mentioned that with your dad about like kind of that verbal encouragement. Um, yeah, there was like a lady I was working for here, um, and yeah, she wanted to like she offered to kind of like support any idea I had, and it didn't really like matter what the idea was, and like because she thought I was like a good worker and you know was like capable of coming up with good ideas, and so um, like we even met up a few times and like talked and um, just went through ideas and stuff, and that was like super inspiring to me because it was like one of the few times, and especially in recent memory, where I felt like I had somebody like kind of like rooting for me, I guess, like my parents do in a sense. You know, like they always want what's best for me and stuff, but it's, or, you know, and they say nice things, but um I guess it's I don't know, maybe you've experienced this where you can, like, somebody could say something nice about you, but if it's not the thing that you value about yourself, it doesn't resonate as much. You know, it's like if you don't care about your looks as much, it's like you could, someone could be like, "Oh, you're so handsome." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." You know, but you really like are pride yourself on being like intelligent or something, you know, and someone says like, you're one of the most like wise and smart people I know." And you're like, "Whoa," you know, like it just feels so good, you know, because you get validated on the thing that's like really important and like something you strive for. And so I think, and I don't know if it's like people can see, if it's certain people can like see that in you, or if um you know, maybe they just are aligned personality wise with being able to like recognize that. But anyway, so this person was like very like encouraging for things that like I felt were important in my life, and like directions I like to go and stuff, you know, with just gaming and stuff. And like, you know, like I don't think a lot of people would understand that, or like think that it's not very financially viable, but like to have someone be like, "No, I think that's cool, I think you have good ideas in that area and like you should pursue that." It's like, whoa, okay, like that's cool. Like just that amount of acceptance, I think, is really like inspiring and pushed me forward. And then just from that like little bit of acceptance, like my own personality or whatever, like, or my own whatever took over the rest and like started propelling me like forward and gave me like forward momentum, just feeding off that like little bit of encouragement and acceptance. And so um yeah, so I think I have had people like that in my life, and this is the most recent one that comes to mind. And so like that's kind of sparked a whole new, I guess, path to some extent in in recent times. And so
Yeah, dude,
yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I wonder if like Shackleton maybe like believed, you know, like you said, you mentioned that bond of trust there with his people and like trying to hear their ideas as well. So I wonder if that was maybe something that was being sparked in those people.
Yeah, you know, I think that he believed in them for like the
Mm-hmm.
tasks that they had and needing to accomplish stuff, and hey, we can survive this. And he was like willing to really trust, respect, believe the people who worked for him, his crew. And so I
Yeah.
think that that went a long way because they're like, wow, I can be a good, you know, crew member, sailor, explorer, scientist, whatever it was that the role was the person was in.
Or if he
And they
believed he
had,
needed them too, like that could have been powerful as well, you know,
yeah,
because people need to feel needed, you know. So
yeah, yeah, that's
like
true.
if he like went up to somebody, he's like, "We're not making it out without you on our, you know, here," it's like that'd be pretty powerful to, you know, motivate somebody.
Yeah.
You'd have to
I
actually believe
think
it and be honest with it, but
I can't remember, where did I read this? I think I read this in the book The Culture Code, I want to say, which is another interesting book just about you know how you create teams and employee environments that generates ideas and makes people successful. But um there was something I was reading where they were talking about teachers and how they took a group of teachers and they came to those teachers, and I think these were teachers like in elementary school or maybe they were like in junior high or something, but they basically went to the teachers and they said, hey, we conducted some experiments, some testing, you know, with your students, like just some, you know, special quizzes that we had them take, and
mm-hmm.
we've determined that certain students in your class are eventually going to become super geniuses, and we just wanted to point them out to you so that you would know about that. And they just read off like these list of names, like these students are going to be super geniuses, like we
Mm-hmm.
know that that's true. And the teachers are like, wow, that's super cool, you know. And so then they look at the test scores of those students like a year later, and all of those students who were super geniuses got
Mm.
super high scores. But the truth was that there was no special test, and the students weren't any more intelligent than any other student. They just literally took students' names at random and
Mm.
told the teachers, so that the teachers believed in the students. And
Mm.
when the teachers believed that those students were really intelligent, they treated them like they were really intelligent, and they really treasured and valued those students, and it made the students more intelligent, you know?
Hmm.
And it just
Yeah.
shows how, like, if you really believe in other people, you can change them just by believing in who they are, you know? Which
Yeah.
is like definitely an admonishment to myself every time I like doubt other people, you know? It's like, that guy's so lazy. Oh, well, he's lazy. If I think he's lazy now, if I treat him like he's lazy, now he's going to be lazy. Like, what if I went over and
Yeah.
treated that guy like he was Elon Musk, you know?
Hmm.
Would he become a more successful person? Like, it's like you see how powerful it is that we have influence over people, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of power to have in the world if you like, live your life that way. Like if you're actively shaping people's destinies, just by how you treat them. I don't know, that would be a lot of responsibility. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want, yeah, because there's almost an element of like, because like they're not super geniuses, but like you're not even treating them like they are. You're treating them like they could be, and so like that's kind of even a more powerful thing because you don't have to like treat people as they are. You can treat people as like you want them to be in a sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, so there's a few things that raises, you know, like on the one hand, how much are people shaped by um how other people basically want them to be. So like if a teacher wants
Probably
somebody
a
to
lot.
be a loser, how much
Yeah.
are they now going to be a loser? It's like the teacher looks at somebody and it's like, you're from a lower class family and you're this ethnicity and I don't like you and you rubbed me the wrong way on the first day of class. So you are a
I
bad
literally just played a game
student,
like that.
you
That's
know?
funny.
And so it's like if the teacher just decides that you're like a bad student, are you now going to
Mm,
become a bad student? It makes you totally rethink like criminals and all kinds of different stuff. But the other
yeah,
thing
social
is,
conditioning.
yeah, and yeah, the conditioning that happens like that. And the other thing that comes to mind is it's like how much are people innately gifted in certain ways versus gifted in something because that's how they've made their identity to be, you know? It's like
Mm,
if I identify myself as like I am a very intelligent person, like I believe about myself that I'm very intelligent, would I do better on tests and exams than if I had
mm,
studied for the exam but I didn't believe I was very intelligent? You know, it's like on the one hand, if you don't study for the information, then you're not going to know it. So how can you pass the exam? But on the other hand, if you don't believe you're an intelligent person, maybe you don't really have the motivation to actually study or even try hard, you
just like
know?
gave up.
Yeah, you just give up. So it's
Yeah.
like if I think to myself, I am a really good athlete, will I actually become a better athlete just because I like believe that's my identity? Like I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think there needs to be like some honesty that goes with that because I think if you are honest, or maybe not honesty, but the more in touch you are with how the world works, I think the more that visualization works in a sense. Because if you tell yourself you're a really good athlete and you know how the world works, you know that like really good athletes put in the time and the effort, and you know that they make the sacrifices necessary with food, with time, with whatever it is to like be the really good athlete. So I think if you are aware of how that all works, then like you can be like, okay, I'm going to be like a really good athlete, or like I am a great athlete because you are doing the things that a great athlete would do, I guess. um, but if you're like kind of delusional or something, it's like, I'm a really great athlete, I eat Twinkies and Cheerios. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have a really rude wake up call. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I know. I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, I think that just, but yeah, there is like a power of like visualization and like getting yourself there. But that's why all these things are so tricky, because it's, you can have one idea or theme, or like, it's like visualization, does it work, does it not work, but there's so many like little factors of, like, yes, it works, I guess, but like it's based on so many like smaller factors that go into it that just really muddy the waters.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So anyway, there's my inspiring thing. Oh, did you have
Yeah.
another thought?
No, I mean, I really like the topic. I think it's like that's something I've always kind of wanted to do. Is like, I mean, obviously, with us starting this podcast, inspire other people. But
Yeah.
you know, it it is interesting to see how like one person can have so much of an effect, and maybe even like I don't know if it's maybe it's just more noticeable, but it seems like some people have a disproportionate effect on other people's outcomes and like thought processes and stuff. And so you look at someone like Shackleton, and it's like, you know, was he like the person single-handedly keeping in there like everybody on track? Was it, you know, was he just an equal contributor and everyone was like just a really good, inspiring person for each other, or was it like him really like holding it all together? So, in which case, like he has a bigger effect.
Well, yeah, that's a good point because if you've got some amazing, inspiring person and other people just don't see it, or they don't want to receive it, or they don't have the emotional intelligence to recognize that, like, oh, this person's like trying to do something for my good right now. I should like listen to what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, you are not going to be able to get together that group of people, that crew, and create a positive change with them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it does have to be a little bit of both. It can't just be an inspiring person. People have to be willing to receive the inspiration, or even at the very least, the way that the inspiring leader is trying to inspire, it has to be given through a medium in which the person can receive it.
Yeah.
It's got to be given in such a way that they're actually able to understand it and reciprocate, interact with that and interpret it.
Well, there's probably a certain type of personality with that where, if you're, I mean, he was probably a little bit crazy to even go to Antarctica in the first place, so that type of personality probably attracts certain other personality
crazy
types.
People.
Yeah, at least at minimum, that would, kind of work with like what he's bringing to the table. It's like you're not going to get a bunch of people that want to like sit at home in an office like doing something like that. So it's like you're the people coming are already kind of predisposed to your type of personality, especially if you're the leader. And so like you don't really have, like that's why companies promote their culture or whatever, to like get the people in the door that, align with their values and stuff. But yeah. It's a great topic.
So yeah, I hope people listening to us will maybe do something they wouldn't normally do, or see the world in a way that they wouldn't normally see it, and be inspired by that, because they listened to us talking about fire or something weird in a weird way. Like, oh, now I'm going to sign my life away to the robot people because I found AI inspiring.
Become an arsonist.
I'm going to become a, what is it? What's the person that's half cyborg? Half human, half robot.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, whatever floats your boat. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that's not the case, but if you need to do it, you do you.
Oh man. Anyway, on that note, the cyborg note.
Thanks all for making episode 14 a great one.
Yeah. Thanks for making it this far with us.
Yeah.
Give yourself a pat on the back.
All right. Peace.